So the Croods came out this week, and since I don't want to talk about the Flintstones, I thought I'd focus on the family members taking a road trip aspect of it, which leads us to the 1989 classic, The Wizard. The Wizard was directed by a guy named Todd Holland, who was the co-creator of a show called Wonderfalls, one of mine and Eliza's favorites. It also stars Fred Savage of the Princess Bride and Wonder Years fame, and Jenny Lewis, who went on to be the lead singer for the band Rilo Kiley and sang background vocals on the Postal Service album. Jenny Lewis. Let's go ahead and take you guys through The Wizard. This young kid is walking alone through the desert. Sheriff pulls up and is like, "Where you going, kid?"
"California."
Tosses him in the car, brings him back home. Kid's name is Jimmy, and his stepdad complains about how he wanders off all the time. In another house, we find Jimmy's brothers, Fred Savage and Christian Slater, yes, of Pump Up the Volume, and his dad, Beau Bridges. And Corey, played by Fred Savage, thinks that they need to stop them from putting Jimmy in a home, because that's stepdad's solution. Corey lays upstairs listening to them argue, and he decides to spring Jimmy. He goes and grabs Jimmy from the institution.
"California."
I must say, I don't know why there are so many institutions and children's institutions showing up in these cinematic study guides. Huh. They hide in the Hostess cake delivery truck. They escape. Then his mom hires a bounty hunter, who's kind of a jag, and looks nothing like Keira Knightley as a bounty hunter. So bounty hunter tells Nick and Christian Slater not to get in his way. The boys ride their skateboard through the desert, they walk through the desert, they camp in the desert. They get to a bus station and they're like, "Alright, can we get to California on $20? And he's like, "No, more like $300. While that happens, Jimmy owns Double Dragon.
"You got 50,000 on Double Dragon?"
However, Jenny Lewis is very interested in the machinations of Corey and Jimmy.
"I'm Haley. If you don't tell me what you're doing, I'm gonna scream."
Corey's like, "My mentally unstable 9-year-old brother can beat you in Double Dragon. If he wins, we get the price of your bus ticket that you have." Play Double Dragon. Jimmy once again owns. So they're sitting in a diner while Jimmy plays Ninja Gaiden. Jenny Lewis is like, "Oh, you know what? I don't know why I didn't think of this before. Check it. The video game competition to end all video game competitions is coming up in California. I could totally help you get there because my dad's a trucker. I know all about the ways of the road. So I'll go with you if you split the prize with me." Corey's like, "Yeah, you are my Wonder Years, Jenny Lewis." So the bounty hunter and the boys are all on their tail, and they try to sabotage each other by slashing each other's tires. Well, the kids hitch a ride in a farmer's truck until the farmer sees that these kids that he picked up on the side of the road have some cash, and they steal the cash, presumably because they don't have enough cows to get their family through the winter. So they challenge some businessmen who are playing an arcade game.
Go on!
Jimmy nails it and they get more money. And she's like, "Okay, I see how this is gonna play." A motorcycle gang gives them a ride while the greatest 80s montage song in the world plays. Send me an angel. Send me an angel. That's also the song that they played during the BMX bike dance in the movie Rad. Jimmy keeps destroying people at video games and they keep getting money. Then this one kid's like, "No one can beat Lucas," and they go challenge Lucas to a little bit of Rad Racer. However, Lucas has a trick up his sleeve.
"I love the Power Glove. It's so bad."
Jimmy won't play, takes off. Christian Slater and his dad, Beau Bridges, are chilling in the hotel, and he mentions about the last road trip they went on and how Jennifer and Jimmy were so great, and then everything gets weird for a second. And then Nick buries his sorrows by playing Ninja Turtles, one of the awesomest games ever. And then Dad goes crazy for it. Jenny says she's making Jimmy jealous by getting in between them, and that's why he wouldn't play Lucas. And then a group of the guys that Jimmy schooled at some of the video games comes rolling up, and they rob them, and they open Jimmy's secret lunchbox, and it is pictures of him and his twin sister, named Jennifer, who drowned. Corey wants to quit and go home.
"I don't want to quit."
And Jimmy never talks. You don't know this because I'm racing through this, but Jimmy never talks, so that's a big deal. They decide, we can do this! So they get to Reno, where Jenny Lewis's character lives. They find one of the truckers that Jenny Lewis knows because her dad's a trucker, and they have him bet their money on roulette, and Jimmy starts training. The bounty hunter tracks them down, and he grabs Jimmy. And then Jenny Lewis bravely saves the day. Bounty hunter gets dragged away. She takes them to her trailer home in the desert, which is pretty badass, but her dad's a trucker, so he's not there, and they're hanging out on the roof. And Jenny Lewis is all like, "My mom has a gambling problem, and I was gonna help my dad buy a house with the Nintendo winnings. My mom lost all of our money, and my dad deserves a house." He compares her problems to the game The Legend of Zelda, and then tries to kiss her. He gets shot down until she decides she is Jenny Lewis and she can kiss who she wants, even Fred Savage. Then the next day, boom, wake up, where's Jimmy. Bounty hunter's got him, drags him away, gets him in the car. Corey and Haley watch in despair as Jimmy is driven away from them. Haley still wants to know,
Did you really have a chance? I've never seen anyone better. Not even Lucas?
That's where we're going to stop until the end of the video. The Wizard was made in 1989. Roger Ebert called it the most cynical advertising ploy ever deployed on the poor children of the world who Nintendo was capturing through every medium available. But I loved it. I thought The Wizard was amazing. Fred Savage was the coolest. The Power Glove was the greatest, although Lucas made it look like it worked perfectly. The Power Glove was actually, my Power Glove at least, didn't work very well. I highly recommend checking out The Wizard. It is a paragon of late 80s filmmaking. I don't know if you already wrote that comment or not, but yes, obviously I'm sick, but internet content doesn't make itself, y'all. You gotta get in there, because I run out of time. You gotta do it while you're sick. I didn't leave you with a Pops update last time. I have gotten exactly 1.5 VFX shots done since the last time I gave you a Pops update. You know me. Like, if you followed the updates at all, you know that I always plan all of these shots to have as much rotoscoping as possible. That'll probably change in the future, however not right now. The last time I asked you a question was back in the Oz study guide. I asked you what, if anything, was going to draw you to see Oz the Great and Powerful, which has been the #1 movie in the box office 2 weekends running, so that's pretty good. But every time Sam Raimi's #1 in the box office, he calls up Bruce Campbell on the morning the figures come out, and he's like, "Who's #1?" And Bruce is like, "You are, Sam." I think that's adorable. Anyway, for most of you, a vast majority actually, it was the Oz mythology of it all. The thing that came in second most interest was in Zach Braff being the monkey sidekick. This week's question is about video game movies. The Wizard is absolutely one of my favorite video game movies of all time. War Games and The Wizard and things like that. Brain Scan was one that I really liked with Eddie Furlong. I was wondering what your favorite video game movie can be. A movie about video games and video gaming, or a movie based on a video game that you thought worked out pretty good. Let me know in the comments. Anyone who doesn't want to know the end of The Wizard, tune out now. You can get it on Netflix, I know that much. You might get this copy. So, Jimmy is driven away. Corey and Haley don't know what to do. Or do they? All the truckers in the world come and box in the bounty hunter on the road, and he gets out of the car and he's like, "What are you doing?"
So you touched her breasts, huh?
Oh my God. And that one trucker who did their gambling for them gives them a ride to Video Armageddon. Jimmy enters the competition, where Lucas already is, in the words of Eliza, with the hair of an angel. When it comes time to announce the finals, 3 people make it. Lucas, some girl, and Jimmy. And when we reveal that there'll be a brand new game that no one's ever seen before, and everybody's like, what, brand new game? Before the finals happen, the bounty hunter shows up and they get on the Universal tour to escape, which is weird. I didn't remember it happening at all, but I love the Universal tour, so that's awesome. And so they hide under King Kong, which is above the game stage, it turns out. As the stage rises, Jimmy's already standing there like a hoss, holding his lunchbox. He's like, "What? You want to play video games? I got it. Let's do it." And then it's time to find out what the mystery game is. Guess what? Super Mario Bros. 3, first time ever. The Wizard. That's where you see it. They launch Super Mario Bros. 3. They compete, and Jimmy's doing awesome. However, he starts dying and falling behind like crazy. Then, Jimmy finds the magic flute. Whoa! Jimmy warps way ahead. Before anybody had the game, Jimmy knew how to find the flute and warp ahead. He wins the game at the last minute. The whole family is excited. They're all driving home, and Jimmy sees these dinosaurs that were in Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
California!
So he gets out, and he goes running up to one of the dinosaurs, and he pulls out his lunchbox, and he pulls out a picture of the whole happy family. Corey's like, I guess he just wanted to say goodbye and leave her someplace he knew she was happy. And then everybody cries. Then Jimmy kisses Jenny Lewis just to prove that he is awesome. Jenny Lewis kisses Jimmy on the cheek and then Fred Savage on the cheek so that everybody wins. The Wizard, 1989. You've been told.